Erica, are you there? Can you hear me okay?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. So first off, you're a newer agent here at FFL.
I am.
I've heard your story a little bit. So
Mhm.
for those of us on the call that don't know about you or your story, can you just quickly share a little bit about your background and how you got to FFL?
Yes. So I was at a previous company for about a year and a half, but my team was struggling. They were having good weeks and then they were having bad weeks and, the kind of the revolving door. And it got to a point, honestly, where my brother one day asked me he wanted to join, and I pretty much told him no. And he was like, "You're being so successful. Like, why can't you let, your family, do this with you?" None of my friends really knew what I was doing either. I just pretty much kept it to myself. And that honestly made me kind of take a step back and realize, like, okay, one, I always knew that it wasn't a long term just because there were so many variables that I couldn't control at that other company. Um, and it was something that I just didn't see myself, being there for 5, 10 years, let alone bringing family or friends into it. So when my team was struggling and got to that point, I realized I took a step back and was like, I can't keep doing. So I took a step back. I've heard of FFL before. Josh Williams, actually, when he made the switch and started, that caught my eye because he was somebody that was making money at our previous company as well. And he was an acquaintance friend of mine. So I reached out to him. Long story short, pretty much got contracted. Didn't do anything for a few months. I took some time off work. Honestly, wasn't sure if I wanted to do insurance anymore. And then finally he called me and was like, "Hey, just come out here, fly to where I'm at. Let's get some training done. If this is something you don't want to do, then you can quit, but just give it like 60 days, 90 days till the end of the year. And then if you don't want to do it and you're not successful, you can leave and I'll support you." So I went in, got trained, and it was just like a game changer. It was like, okay, this is crazy. I know I can do this. Very short, October was my first pretty much full month doing this. I had a lot of people that wanted to do virtual or over the phone. And so I knew I just kind of took that leap of faith that I was like, hey, I'm going to master this or, I'm going to fail. Either way, I want to figure this out.
That's awesome. And that's
Mhm.
cool because basically what you did is you made a choice. And
Yeah.
so if someone's on this call today, if they're brand new, that's cool because you make the choice. And if you've
Hmm.
been here for a while and you want to push the reset button and
Yeah.
take these notes from Erica and apply them, you can make the choice. And it's just a matter of making the decision and going for it. So I love that.
100%. Yep. It's definitely a mental thing. I really just had to separate, the past experiences with what FFL has. And it was like, what if it is as good as they say it is, right? What if people really are making the money? What if the clients really do need this and are requesting it, right? And so once you make that mental decision that, hey, I'm all in, I don't care what the roadblocks are, I'm going to push through it and give this a try. Once you do that, it was a game changer for me.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's dive a little bit into the nitty gritty. There's one L and three P's that I think kind of make up our overall just business model and how we operate. You got leads, and then you got the three P's: phones, presentations, and products. So
Mhm.
let's go through each of those four things, and then after that, we can open up for Q&A and questions from the crowd. And if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat throughout so we can get to them during the call tonight. But let's start off with leads first off. Talk to us about your mindset, what kind of leads you're working, how often you buy them, what's a resolved lead? Like, give us the full lowdown on leads.
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually didn't buy a ton of leads in October until about halfway through because when we went virtual, I pretty much just cycled through all my other leads that I had already from the previous times that I bought leads. So I was selling like old leads, like 3, 4, 5 month old leads that I've been just sitting there that, I called through once when I was on, a road trip or something like that. But pretty much what I run is just instance and 1 months. Those are what I buy. So typically I'll buy leads. I spend anywhere from like 1,500 to 2 grand a week in leads. I'll call through them a batch, Monday, a Tuesday, and then buy new leads for, Wednesday, Thursday. And then sometimes like Friday and Saturday, I'll like change my burner number, go back to the first batch of leads and call through those again. So that's kind of my system. So I just buy the instance in 1 month.
Okay. So the $1,500 to $2,000 a week you're spending right now, about how many leads is that getting you between the coupon codes and, sometimes more 1 month an instance or et cetera? Like about how many leads per week?
Each dial session, I buy like 120. So 240, 250 around there.
It's about 250 a week. Okay. Nice. And then, so $1,500 to $2,000 a week on instance in 1 month. You also went back through and closed your old leads, but good segue into phones because it sounds like they go hand in hand.
Yep.
You mentioned because the typical FFL structure is you dial Monday, run appointments Tuesday, Wednesday. You dial Thursday, run appointments Friday, Saturday. You're not doing that.
No.
It sounds like you're doing all one call closes. Are you setting any appointments or?
I'm doing all one call closes. I don't set any appointments at all.
Okay. So you just buy your leads and every day it's on phone burner, just going through those leads until you get the next batch. Okay. So talk to us then about what your dial days look like, because it's a different kind of discipline than what most people are used to. So talk to us about how, if you got those 120 leads to work Monday, Tuesday, what does that look like? When do you start? How many dials, et cetera?
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the coffin. Like it's discipline. A lot of people, have this love-hate relationship with dial days. For me, I'm like, I came from having to like slow dial leads. So I'm like, oh my gosh, phone burner. Like, are you kidding me? I have to just sit there and I can watch, Netflix and dial my leads. Like, this is amazing. So I'm very like structured. I'm start dialing at 8:00. And then I'm just calling through my leads, triple dialing them. And if I get an answer, I go through my script. I try to get a presentation right then and there. You will have people that obviously are like, oh, I'm at work or oh, I'm busy. And again, I don't try to set an appointment. I just say, hey, okay, when are you off work? Mary, 5:00. Okay, perfect. Well, I have a lot of other clients I need to talk to today. So I'll give you a call back around 5:36. Sound good? Okay. And then I put like it in my calendar to call her back and then resolve it out of phone burner. But I'm pretty much just doing that all day. So I'm just trying to get a hold of people and do a right then presentation.
Okay, cool. And for anyone, if people don't know what phone burner is, if you're a newer agent, it's a lifesaver and a game changer.
Gosh, yeah.
It's essentially an auto dialer, not the illegal kind of auto dialer that like there's illegal kinds, then there's legal kinds. This is the legal kind. This is like a good one. You essentially take your spreadsheet, you upload it into phone burner, and you could do hundreds of leads at a time. Got to make sure they're internet leads, which is what Erika said, instance in 1 month. And then with those leads, it'll automatically dial through them and does about 80 to 100 dials per hour. So if you think about how long it would take to manually dial 80 to 100 dials versus knowing that you could do an hour, 80 to 100 dials, on average, how many dials are you doing per day, Erika?
Probably around 600.
About 600. So that's about anywhere from 5 to 8 hours of work, depending on how many sales you're getting, how many full conversations you're having. Yeah. Is that about right?
Yeah. Typically, when I was just setting appointments for the field the next day, I would average about 1,100 calls. So typically when I'm trying to get presentations and talk to people, doing a whole, spiel, I'm averaging less, obviously, because I'm taking that time to do a presentation. So on days that I don't do a lot of presentations, it's higher. On days that I am presenting more, it's lower.
Okay. And how many times with internet leads? Because I hear this all the time, but people just need to realize it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
How many times do you get told, F you, I'm not interested, I never filled that out, click, versus getting a sale? Like, what's kind of the ratio that you're seeing?
Oh, I get more FU than I do sales.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to hear that.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a perfect lead, and definitely internet leads aren't perfect leads, but you get 120 plus cycling through old batches that you've bought. You got to do 500, 600, 700 dials. I don't know. Maybe it's
you just have to make like a joke of it. Like I just laugh, I'm like, all right, have a good day.
On to the next one. So, okay. And so let's talk a little bit about your actual presentation. You use Josh Williams's one call close script. Is it exactly that, or is it a little?
No, mine's a little different, but it's pretty much the same.
Cool. Okay. So I'm gonna quickly pull up his just as a reference for people. This is one call close script. This is Josh's. And so for people who aren't familiar with it or have just never done one call closes, I'm going to kind of open the floor to you, take as long as you want, just talk about this script, talk about what you're doing. The floor is yours.
Yeah, perfect. Can you make it a little bigger?
Yeah, for sure. Let me zoom in.
I mean, I pretty much memorize it.
Yeah, I'm supposed to
Yeah,
do to do it a
perfect.
lot, I know. So, all
Yeah,
right.
that's
So work
good.
with that. If you need more, let me know. But let's start with this.
Yeah, so pretty much it's pretty simple. As you notice, it's shorter than in the home. But I pretty much say what this is. So I just, just say, hi, this is Erika. I'm with the Benefits Center for the state of Florida. I'm giving you a call in regards to the request that you sent in for life insurance. I'm sure you're getting a bunch of spam and robocalls, but this is actually about the request that you sent in. Just need to verify a couple of things. I have your date of birth as this. Now, when you fill this out, were you looking to cover just yourself or did you have a spouse as well? Oh, just themselves. Okay, perfect. So we're doing everything over the phone now. It will take about 15 minutes. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper so I can get this taken care of for you. And then if they say, okay, perfect. Then I say, all right, go ahead and write down my name. It's Erika Walker and my state license number is this. They do just require us to give that to you just for security reasons. And then I just go into, so, obviously you're looking for life insurance. Am I your first stop or have you been trying to get approved for a while? Oh, well, this is the first time. I go, okay, great. So this will be super easy for you then. What I am is I'm a broker with the state of Florida. Okay. So that means that all the insurance companies that you can get, I have access to pull those up. So instead of meeting with, 20 different life insurance agents, it's kind of like a one-stop shop. Okay. Now, obviously I'm not going to give you, 100 different options. Okay. But what I am going to do is I'm going to ask you some medical background questions. I'm going to put your information into the system. And then that'll give me an idea pretty much of what company is most likely to accept you. Okay. Now, I don't know if you know, but life insurance isn't something you can just buy. You do have to qualify for it. Okay. But I'm going to do my best to get you with a company that fits your budget and that will accept you. And then after that, I ask them their medical background questions. I find out why they filled it out. If it's more, they want to cover mortgage, I dive in more to that. So that's giving me an idea of what their need is. And then I pretty much just put all of their information into America. Before I do that, I just say, okay, John, so I'm going to put your information into our system. Okay. Now you're not going to be able to pay for anything today. Nothing's going to come out of your account today. But this is going to give me an idea of what company is most likely to accept you. Okay. And I put their information directly into America. I have everything when it comes to, I know one of the biggest objections that people get is like social, right? So what I do with that is I ask all the other questions and during that time, I'm like building a report. Like if they're from California, I'm like, oh, my aunt and uncle used to live in California. If they're, I'm finding something during that time to like relate to them on. Right. Mm-hmm. So then when I get to social, I ask, how tall they are, all the other stuff. Social last, I go, okay, John, I'm going to send you an email. It's going to be a medical release form. So for you to sign, and it's attached to your medical records. So that's going to let me know what company will accept you. Is most likely to approve you. And then I go, so what's your social? And if they're like 90% of the time, they just give it to me. You're going to have those people that are like, well, why do you need that? I go, because your medical records are attached to your social. We don't do any in-home exams or blood work. That's how the company runs your medical records. They're like, oh, okay. So telling them like, hey, I'm going to send you something to sign and it's confidential. They are a lot more open to giving me that information. And I'll have people be like, yeah, I really don't like giving my social out. I was like, I know, John, what's your social? And then they just, you're just agreeing with them. So that's pretty much my process. And then if they're approved with America, then I give them quotes, or if they're denied with America, I say the same thing. They're denied or approved. Okay, perfect, John. So it looks like I have a company that you have a good chance of qualifying for. Okay, we'll have to finish submitting the application to get the final approval. And then I give them options, and then I say, so, you say you want to leave behind, money for your funeral. So this is where I kind of dig more into their why. I go, so, John, if something happened to you yesterday, who would be taking care of everything today for you? Well, my daughter. Okay. Where does she live? Does she live local? No. Is she married? Have a family? Does she work? Yep. Okay. So does she have 20, 30 grand laying around to take care of all your expenses? Well, no. Okay. So I can tell that you're wanting to get this taken care of so that your daughter, who has a family and a husband and kids, doesn't have to fly all the way over here on the worst day of her life and try to figure out and be stressed of how she's going to come up with money to cover your funeral, right? Yes, that's exactly why. Okay, perfect, John. So I want you to write down 30,000. I want you to write down 20,000, and then I want you to write down, 15,000. And then I explain whatever product it is. I not once I ever say a company, because you don't know, they could get denied with America, right? So I'm not going to talk up a company. I'm just going to talk up the product, so explain the product. Okay, John. So this is, whole life, right? Go over that. And then I have them write down the price. Okay. Next to 30,000, write down 300, 20,000, write down 200, 15,000, write down 150. Now, which one of these 30,000, 20,000, or 10,000? The 10,000 is more for people that are on a budget, that are on a fixed income. Okay. The 20,000 is people that, want to make sure that just the bare minimum is taken care of. And then the 30,000 is for people that want to leave behind a little bit extra money as well. Which one of these do you want to leave behind to your daughter? And then I just wait and I let them pick. Right. And so then I go, okay, perfect. Now I'm not sure if you're going to be able to qualify, but I'm going to do my best, right? Go get your driver's license. And then I finish filling out the application. So
that's awesome.
That's pretty much exactly what I do every time.
Hey guys, drop a 2 in the chat if you guys thought that was a pretty good presentation. I thought that was really good. I know I'm going to listen to that on repeat. I think that was awesome. A couple questions I have, and you may have said it, but I know you said a lot there. In terms of letting them know about social, bank account, things like that, when does that come up in your conversation typically?
So I just address it when it comes up. Like social, I'll literally ask them right then and there after I'm filling out the Americo app, what their social is. Bank account. Sometimes I'll say in the beginning, okay, if you do get approved, you do have, they do require you to have a valid banking account. Do you have that? After I find out, like if they're working, things like that, if they're on disability, ask, or are you getting money from the government? Does that go on a direct express card or right to your banking account? Right. And so that's kind of how you can ask. A lot of times I'm just like pretty upfront with them as I'm going through those, the questions. I'm just like, okay, if you get approved, they require a valid banking account. Do you have that? Yes, we do. Okay, perfect. No, then I,
Well, Erika, why do you need to know my bank account info? I don't just give that out over the phone.
I say, well, to pay for your life insurance application.
That's simple.
That's people simple. Are like,
yeah, you filled out a request for life insurance. I'm the guy getting your life insurance.
Yeah.
You buy it. Yeah.
Yep. And, people I think are like doing to check for fraud, all that stuff. It's like, no, then they're like shocked when money comes out of their account, right? They're like, I thought you were just checking for fraud and I wasn't even paying for anything. It's like, no, money's going to come out of your checking account. It's for your life insurance application, and then if I get pushback on the banking, I just say, okay, John, have you ever, written a check to the little kid that mowed your lawn? Well, yeah. Okay. So your routing and account number is on that check. Did you know that? Well, yeah. So that's meant to be passed around. Now your debit card, that's something that's not meant to be passed around. So you want to make sure that you don't give that out over the phone. And then they're like, oh yeah, you're right. I have written a check to the little kid, or some random person. So then then I'm like, okay. And another thing you can do, I know a lot of people
meant to be passed around. I'm going to remember that word track. Yeah, it's on the check because it's meant to be passed around. Don't give out your credit card number, John, but yeah, that's meant to be passed around.
Mm-hmm. And it gets them thinking like, yeah, I have written checks. And one thing I do too, is I'll be like, okay, John, who do you bank with? Oh, Bank of America. And you can Google Bank of America, whatever state routing number. All right. So I just want to verify I have what pulls up is your routing number is this, and this. Is that correct? And then 9 out of 10 times they're like, oh, I have no idea. Let me go grab my checkbook or let me pull up on my online banking. Right. They're like, yep, that's correct. It's like, okay, now what's your account number? Wait, why do you need that for your life insurance application? Okay.
I like that. Just
Yeah.
straightforward to the point. So I've definitely tried to get like perfect with my word tracks sometimes with that. And sometimes it could come off a little bit like there's something not there. He's not telling me. So I like how straightforward you are with that. Okay, cool. A good question we had in the chat is what if they're not approved in terms of underwriting? I know for me, what I like to do, especially if I'm doing like a virtual sale, if I'm unsure, I will literally have like the Slack app on my phone and in real time, I will post in home help and get an answer from the underwriting genies right there in real time. And I could be at least running the America pre-check, so basically I'm getting all their conditions and then I type it all into the underwriting genies while I'm fudging around for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, click send in home help and Slack. And then while they're doing their thing over there, I'm starting an America pre-check. That way, if they do get declined, I can go check that right away and I'll have an answer of where I should go next. Do you do something similar or what would you recommend?
Yeah, Underwriting Genie is amazing. I use that all the time. I think you kind of get the hang of after you do it so many times, like, oh, America won't take, this, then I'll run them through Aetna. So typically if they don't get approved through America, I run them right through Aetna. But other than if it's whole life, if it's term, America, and then I love John Hancock. But they're especially for virtual, John Hancock's thing is just so easy. But I do use the Underwriting Genie a lot. And one thing too, for new people, I had all the notifications on, so I can literally read like everybody that's asking questions in the Underwriting Genie, just to kind of familiarize myself, like, oh, that's their situation. This is what they recommended. But there's people that you get approved through America. Like why I write so much America business is I run everything through America. Like unless they have an answer or something, because you'd be so surprised, like what's gotten approved that, if I would have put it in, even in the Underwriting Genie or something, they would have told me to go with Aetna right away. It's like, so I always just 90% of the time run through America.
I like that. I'm similar. When in doubt, try America. And again, while you're trying America, you can post in the in-home help channel in Slack. And that way you at least have a backup on standby if you get a decline in 5 minutes. And again, like you said, you don't make it a big deal. You just say, cool, looks like we found a company that should be able to get you approved. I like that.
I will say one thing I do say at the very end, if they get declined with America and I put them with a different company, I do say, hey, John, you are going to get a letter from America saying you were declined. I actually put you with Aetna. We ran a few companies. Because what's happened to me, and this is your personal preference if you want to say or not, but clients get a letter in the mail from America saying they've been declined. And I've had people call me thinking like that they didn't have coverage anymore. Like a lot of our, people are seniors and they're older. And even though I tell them who their carrier is, they still think that, they don't have coverage. And so they'll call me freaking out or upset or something like that when the money's been taken out. So I just let them know, like, hey, America is one company we tried to get you qualified for. They didn't accept you. We went with Aetna, just being like straight up with them. Like people appreciate the, being black and white.
I love that. You are a very straight to the point kind of person. And I think when over the phone, I think that's more important than in person. In person, you can have some fun and fudge around and look at the pictures and pet the dog and stuff like that. But over the phone, like, if someone's trying to do it over the phone, they're not trying to chat all day. Like they got stuff to do. There's distractions everywhere. Let's just stay focused, stay on topic, get this over with. So on average, start to finish, how long does your average sale take start to finish?
If I'm selling about 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, straightforward, straight to the point. Grab a pen and paper. We'll have this done in 15, 20 minutes and you're seriously are done 15, 20 minutes.
Pretty much done. Yep.
Cool. Okay. Any other last, as questions continue to come in, we'll kind of address maybe 2 or 3 more questions and wrap this call up tonight. Any other last tidbits, or maybe if you want to put a pretty bow as a summary, start to finish, leads, phones, presentations, cementing, start to finish, kind of your whole game plan. If you're explaining it to a new agent, what you do.
I think the biggest piece of advice for doing virtual is you just have to be disciplined. You have to, be really protect your hours that you're dialing. And I got crazy when I was going for like a big month. I would work different time zones, so if I was in Florida, I would be working West Coast time and then Hawaii time if I didn't, hit my goal. So I think that's the biggest thing. And it's going to take, time getting used to it. But I think the biggest thing is just being confident on the phone, keeping it, straight to the point, but also building a rapport with people to let them know like, hey, I'm not a telemarketer. I think that's the biggest thing.
If someone's scared, how do you take an agent that says, I'll spend the money. I'll spend 700, 800,000, $1,500 on internet leads and I'll get the phone burner, but I'm just scared. I've never done this before. What would you tell
I was
someone
scared too. I was scared. I had like anxiety picking up the phone the first time, especially doing virtual over the phone. It was really, nerve wracking. I think it's just, you have to just get over it, to be honest. Like, fail forward. The first week and a half, we rewrote the script like 3 times. I started out by saying, you need to have your bank account, social, like it was what I said. No wonder why I was getting hung up on so much, but you just have to go for it and you're going to find the little things that work for you. And I think that's anything in sales is the fear. And you just have to just pick up the phone and do it. And this business is people requesting life insurance and you're going to run into people that want it, so I'm not a salesperson. You don't have to be good at sales. You just got to dive in.